everybody to the Creative Moment season finale, season 5, episode 10. We are already done with 5 seasons of the Creative Moment. I'm Dante Bullhauer, Jamie Bullhauer. We are both creatives in our own right. Started this podcast a year and a half ago now, 18 months about, 2 summers ago almost. So we're happy to bring you guys our 5th season finale so far. 3 studios, 5 seasons, 1 dog. Okay, lots of bubbling. So let's just jump right into it.
But not the new bubbler. That's not in town yet.
Can't find the new bubbler yet.
Not in town. I was like, after that first one, I was like, okay, I'd like to.
Waiting for it.
I want to try it again. Like, and it's nowhere.
The distribution is lacking.
Yeah.
But we're here today to talk about the nitty-gritty, the real, unfiltered reason why we create. Okay? So, I'm a photographer. I do digital media type stuff. You're a writer, books, poetry.
Yeah, short stories, blog.
Writer, the generic term. A lot of different avenues you can go with that, as well as digital media. So we're getting down to the honest reasons why we do this. And
as I was thinking about it, like, if somebody is just starting and we're trying to get a writing group off for the students, who are interested in that. Your sister, studying film and stuff. And I was just like, it seems like doom and gloom with AI and all this, and like, why would anybody even want to do anything creative besides what AI can do because you type in some stuff? And so it just really got me thinking about what is the reason why anybody would want to actually choose a creative endeavor.
Interesting. Yeah, because it's very prevalent now. AI, I don't know where it's going, but it has, I guess, come onto the scene a lot quicker than I thought. It can't replace the creative industry, but it can do a whole lot.
It can, and that's the part. Like, and there's going to be because I entered some contests and stuff, and all of them had the you say that this was not AI. And so right at the moment, I don't know. In 1 year, it may help out, and I don't know. But it just was kind of like, why would anybody even consider or think about doing something creative wherein it doesn't seem like there's in the long-term future, like that it's going to be there. And I don't know, it is kind of gloomy. It is kind of gloomy in that aspect.
Yeah. So I'll dive into my first reason. So I just got done with girls' state basketball. I posted a tweet, or an X, if you want to call it that.
I don't even know what
they just call it posts now. They reposted your post or whatever. Stupid.
The app formerly known as.
Yes. So 5 years ago, this last week, it'll be like 2 weeks ago by the time this comes out, but 5 years ago on February 28th, I believe, was my first time shooting a basketball game. My first time using a DSLR camera, which, if you don't know what that is, it's basically a professional grade camera, so to speak.
Was that when I dropped you off? Yes. We had to drop. Yeah,
it was the AC North Bend game. You might have stayed, but I think you stayed because I left right after the game.
Yeah,
State wrestling. You drove me up, dropped me. But anyway. I was
back in the day.
Yeah, way back in the day when I'd be driven up to Lincoln just to take pictures.
And then I would drive home, and then we'd come and like.
I am very familiar with how.
That's crazy. That's actually like.
Yeah, a long time ago.
Yeah.
I was 16, but hadn't driven on the interstate. It terrified me. Anyway, so 5 years ago, this last week was my first time ever really diving into the I guess, professional realm of this industry that I'm in. And the emotions that I experienced and the amount of fulfillment that I had of being able to click that button and look at something that I had just created was one of the more surreal experiences I've had. I can't really articulate it, but I think if you kind of know that feeling when something just clicks and when you're like, that's so cool that I just did that. It was like an unreal feeling for me, and it like very much similar to when you guys got me my first camera. It was that same spark that I'm like, I can go create whatever I want with this catalyst, with this tool. And that has driven me the entire way. I still get that feeling with a lot of stuff that I create. It's just kind of it's a different feeling when you make something that is totally subjective to how you saw the scene or the emotion or whatever. And shooting that game was just such a surreal experience that it drove me to keep doing it and do it at state track that same year and then continue to get that first job in state softball the following year. And I just feel like that little adrenaline rush of, wow, that's a sick photo. Even though my photos back then sucked. They were terrible. They were just bad. But when I get that good photo of that cool sunset or those mountains, whatever, it immediately drives me. This is why I always talk about how I walk way too fast on hikes.
Yeah.
Because I'll get a sick photo and I'll be like, oh my gosh, and I'll just like rush back to the next scenic point. Like, it drives you in a way that you just want to keep going and keep doing it and keep repeating it because of how it just kind of is a self-fulfilling, like, wow, I created that scene.
Yeah.
Two other people could have been next to me and gotten a completely different photo. This is my interpretation of how this happened. And so that kind of arbitrary feeling is a main driving force in why I still do it to this day, 5 years later.
Which I think for any creative musician, painter, a sculptor, like that spark of connecting what's in your head or what you think, and then it coming to fruition of like, yeah, there it is. Was an art major for a little while in college, and did some creative stuff and understand the visual component, and that's where if somebody has that drive. If you're a new creative and whatever, and again, it is gloomy, the future, but we'll get to that in a little while. But like you have to, our life is what we do with it. It is. It's kind of a simple philosophy of life, but your life is what you do with your time.
Yep.
Like, so if all you're going to do is sit in front of a screen, that's your life. Yep. If you're going to create things, if you're going to write, if you're going to draw, you're going to take photos, that is the quality of your life. So any creative who has that spark, because I think honestly everybody is creative and has that drive in some fashion. We all have an expression that maybe it's dance, maybe it's there, acting, okay, Sebastian, like. It's there. You got to find it. Sometimes that was one of our hard questions at one time. Remember, like, what would you do if we didn't get you your camera?
Yep.
So those opportunities.
Still living at home.
Yeah.
Working at Wendy's.
Yep. I was baking.
Price hiking, apparently. Yep. But
yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I shoot or I watch games so much different now than I used to because it's almost like a tick where I just see the angles. That would have been a sweet shot.
Oh,
even when I'm just courtside, I'm watching I watch the game differently other than what's going to happen on this play. I look at it and I'm like, okay, they're like kind of separated alone here. I could get a cool shot of that. So it's like just fulfilling that kind of creative impulse is so fulfilling when you're like, I saw this, it was nothing, it was just a thought in my head, and then boom, there it is on paper or a file, whatever, tangibly visible.
Yeah. And the depth, and this is a little deep philosophy aspect, it gives depth to your life. And that is part of living an enriching experience. And not that every day is deep and stuff like that, but when you are in a state of flow, we've got a video about that. There is just something magical, and the gloom of AI and all. But that's the problem. AI isn't creating anything. Yeah, it's doing some stuff, but it doesn't have creativity. It's not a spark that's inside of you and comes forth in your expression. So I think that if you are a new creative and you feel that tick, that urge to do something, paint, draw, I still think you should just do it. I think you should do it.
Yeah. AI cannot create anything that humans didn't
already create,
program or create. Right?
Yeah. And there's some really crazy stuff lawsuit-wise right now and stuff because of that. Because they're training it on people's stuff, and they're like, we didn't say you could do that. So one of my main reasons, because not only is it AI as part of a gloomy part of the future to a degree at the moment, being a new creative, you have to deal with frustration in lots of different ways. From people liking your stuff or not liking your stuff. In my case of like, I just find it so amazing. I'm like, oh, I love this blog post. This is gonna rock.
5
crickets, not even 5 lines, just like, and then I do this one off the cuff, and I'm just like, I just need that spark. I'm like, I need a blog. I just need to do, and it's just, but I think it's really weird. Let me try to explain that dealing with that frustration and expectations not being met and stuff like that is a reason why you should be a creative. Because that means that you are in alignment with your spark. And you are producing things and you're doing things and you're wanting to get that work, whether it's a drawing or whatever, out there. And you want people to know it. And it's a fine line. I'm not trying to be boastful or anything. But when people like your stuff and they tell you that, it's not like it inflates my ego. It's like the art was good enough. Which is connected to me as an artist for you to like give somebody, but it's more like the art was good. I am a poet. I am a writer. You are a photographer. It kind of is more of an identity reinforcement instead of an ego. Or I tried to not just, to my head. That's not the point. I want people to enjoy, be connected, and feel an emotion, respond, to think. And I think in the long run, that also makes the world a better place on a deeper part because it's building a bridge and somebody knows that somebody else there in the world feels that, sees that, is celebrated. Because in your field, I think part of what I envy of you is that to a degree, your art celebrates other people. And they get, saying also, and this world, we all can win. And by doing that, just for a little while even, they're celebrated.
And that's something that I knew early on that I wanted to do because we talked about this in our clout episode, our clout chasing episode. You can be creative and also be in it for selfish reasons. I mean, there are so many.
For your ego. Yeah. For your ego.
It's not about the stuff you create. It's about look who created the content. And so I knew as soon as I like decided, okay, I'm going to start my own business. Yes, it's called Dante Bullhauer Media, but my content is not about Dante Bullhauer created this. It's about look at the stories I tell through the content I create. And I think it is a very important thing for creatives starting out to kind of just learn and keep in mind. The content you create is not about you. It's about what you are capturing through that lens. Like, I don't take a picture of the mountains because I want people to say, wow, Dante Bullhauer took a photo of the mountains. I want them to kind of like, wow, that's such a great landscape. That reminds me of when I went to Yellowstone or whatever. Obviously, a lot of my stuff is sports-based, so I don't want it to be my story about this athlete. I want it to be a story about the athlete that I photographed or whatever. And that creates so much more fulfillment, partially because when it's negative, you're like, okay, well, maybe it's just the content was bad. It wasn't me. It was just I didn't compose it right or whatever. It wasn't that they don't like me. It was that I didn't capture this correctly. But when people appreciate your art, no matter what it's for, you will get some of that ego boost because you're like, yeah, that was my art.
Yeah.
Even if they're like, wow, this is a great photo, not wow, Dante Bullhauer did such a good job taking this photo. And so I think that's a really key component for just creatives starting out. It's not you. It's the work that you create.
Yeah.
So my second point is, and I'm not going to say money, but that's a point. I just want that out there. You can kind of understand why money is a point where I'm creative. But it is also being able to capitalize on something you're skilled at. And this is something that I really think that a lot of America kind of misses on. The kind of joke is like when you go to college, you either get a business or a communications degree. And it's like, who's passionate about communications out of high school or whatever. I was super lucky that I was able to find a skill that I was passionate about and could make money off of before I even entered college. Like, by the time I was a senior, I was either going to go do track at Midland or not go to college. It wasn't really I should probably just go to college to get the degree. And part of that's kind of industry centered. I mean, a photography degree, I've never heard anyone say, oh, they have a degree in photography, I'll book them. So
yeah,
it's a little industry specific, but I feel like so many people just kind of get a job to get a job because of the pay or because of the time off or whatever. And for me, I honestly had no idea how much money I was going to make for my own business. I didn't even plan on starting it until 3 to 5 years out of high school. And it was really scary because I'm like, okay, people have to pay for your skill. Like, that's it. You're not going to get a payroll from somebody. People just have to pay for you. And that drove me to work so hard that while I was so passionate about it, I was also learning so much through that I feel like that is not, you don't have the same motivation in a job that you're not really passionate about. And the money kind of followed that passion. Like, I worked hard and I knew I was going to be okay about a year into being full-time on my business, which was like 6 months ago. But, 6 months ago I was wanting to quit my business. Yeah. But I just was so passionate about it that I felt, okay, I'm going to make money off this somehow. And I still feel to an extent I underprice myself a little bit. But also, I'm okay with that because of how passionate I am about doing it. Like, I would do it for any price. If I got paid nothing to do it, I would still find a way to be creative and to take photos, take videos, all that stuff. And so... and
see that, honestly, there's nothing... If you can find your way to make money according to your creativity or your passion. Because some people they like math. They'll be an accountant. They'll, and to a degree, yeah, I see it too. I see too many seniors just kind of well, I guess I'll just do this. And it's everybody goes to get a job or a career. Yep. Why not choose the things that you're passionate about, that you are interested in, that, and sometimes it is the fear. We've talked a lot of stuff over the last 5 episodes.
50 episodes.
So the reason to do this is that we all do have jobs and we all want and have a lifestyle. We want to do things and be successful. We want respect in our field. We want to be treated, like we're knowledgeable and stuff. So you happen to have all the cards fall in the right kind of way to step out of high school and do it. Sometimes I think too many people wait. Or they're in a career and then they're unhappy and then they make their whole life turbulent, trying to finally go, my inner soul just is not fulfilled. I gotta,
until they get fed up enough. They're all right, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And then, like you said, I am obviously in a much more primed position to start my own business and fail than you would be.
Right. And that's the time to do it. Yeah. It is.
And so that...
You don't want to fail when you got 6 kids, you have no job,
that's why I'm not having kids.
And you're sitting there going, pantry's empty,
Yeah. So it's... I quote the Outliers book a lot more than I should, and it makes...
It's all right, I quote Stephen King too much,
every
probably.
Time I'm things kind of... The cookies kind of crumbled your way pretty well there. But it is a culmination of my hard work to set that up. And I talk about that a lot in my social media, whatever speeches, is, yes, I was really lucky, but I wouldn't have been there without the passion and the work ethic that I instilled in myself, or that I was instilled in very early. So a big reason why I do this is money. But I guess the bigger picture is that I am able to monetize my passion when I feel like a lot of people, like you said, either wait too long or struggle to find ways to do that, where I was blessed enough to have more of a clear-cut path to that.
Yeah. And I honestly, I would love to just make a living off of my writing. I would. But that's not the way my path, the creative path and my professional path has taken me. And though I still do it. Even would love to do that. But the reality is, at the moment, until I get a different kind of a lucky break or the right until that actually happens, this is my creative life. And it is frustrating. And as a part, that's why I still do that, though, because I know that I'm still working towards a goal. I'm still struggling, still pursuing it. And I think those are good milestones to have. Because if you're not struggling, if you're not going through some hardships, you don't learn. I'm not saying you can't learn.
Back up your 5.
Yeah. You learn something. You always learn if you're honest enough about the failures and frustrations and stuff, you can learn from them. Yep. Success, I disagree that success doesn't teach you anything. I've just kind of seen that lately on social media. This
teaches you a whole lot.
Success teaches you a lot too. Sorry. If you're paying attention, everything has something for you to take to move forward.
Right.
Yeah. So I already hinted at it, though. The second reason to be creative is to make the world a better place. Art in any form is meant to highlight our experience, to sometimes talk about dark things, depressing things, hard things to bring it to light so people can go, somebody out there understands. Okay? Sometimes it's to celebrate the joys and to remind people that sometimes when they're lost in routine, hey, there are those small aspects. And by, I think it's Prince EA in oh shoot, now I can't remember his spoken word, but he basically in Prince EA's spoken word, and I'm brain freezing. It happens. I'm 102.
Going on 103.
Yeah.
Season 6.
He says that you, and I've seen this before too, that you sell not only yourself short but the universe short if you do not dive into your creative drive, whatever that is. And that's where I think we right now, the gloom of AI and all that is swung over here, but there's just going to be a point, and I think we've always come back to the importance of being people and being human and celebrating both our sorrows and our joys, and art in all its form does that. So you kind of have a responsibility. If you have whatever it is that's driving you to write a novel, go out and take photographs of flowers, to sculpt some, because you're given that muse for a reason, and I think the reason is that it makes the world a better place.
Yeah. So I don't know if you know Jill Johnson. She works for Class Intercom. She spoke at NEDA, the Nebraska Educated Tech something, a couple of years ago when I spoke there. She was one of the keynotes, and she talked about how if you are not sharing your creative work, it's selfish because of the reason you just said. You're depriving the world of your gifts and your ability to tell that story or that emotion. And I think at the end of the day, we all want to feel like we can relate or connect to something. And so by creating whatever art it is and whatever emotion it conveys, if someone can connect to it, you are making the world a better place. Because if someone feels, alone or whatever, or just depressed, hopeless, and they read a poem that relates to that and they can connect to it, it can trigger an emotion in them. Oh, I'm not the only one feeling like this. Oh, this isn't just me, that sort of thing. And so your art, no matter what emotion it conveys, even if it's a negative emotion, does contribute to the world and does contribute to helping maybe someone that you will never meet or you will never know how it impacted them. It can move mountains for them.
Yeah. And that's a little bit of the frustration part too. Like I'm learning that those milestones of those kind of emotions are just actually signposts that say, hey, things are going like they're supposed, like you're moving forward. Because if it was just a breeze or everything was going well, maybe I'm not doing much, not causing many waves. So.
Okay, so are we doing 3? We usually do 3.
We usually do 3. I had 2 solid. I don't know if I have a third actually.
Okay.
I mean, because we both kind of went deep.
Yeah.
Like this is some positively heavy stuff.
Yeah, that math adds up.
Yeah.
So I guess my last one will kind of wrap it up, or if you have another one. The third reason why we do this, why I create, is something that I feel like I have been, as I guess when I was littler, when I was kind of growing up in this, I felt was not ridiculed isn't the right word, but kind of like looked weirdly upon for doing. I have always been a very, I guess, flamboyant personality in some regards. It's kind of shifted in a couple different ways. But like in junior high, I would wear a neon orange shirt and neon orange shorts and try and match socks. I didn't have orange socks, but I'd try to wear like flamboyant socks, whatever. I got orange shoes, orange and green shoes. There has always been a need for me just kind of subconsciously to express myself in a way that stood out. I didn't want to be the guy that had all the gray and black shirts and shorts or the white and black, whatever. A specific memory is the Sunflower Showcase t-shirt. There was white, gray, or black, or blue, and I'm like, give me the blue one. The sock game that I rolled with in junior high, the pink, the green, the Elite Pros, the
Nike. Your sock game has fallen off, by the way. It's just not even fun buying socks anymore like it was.
I'm pretty sure
like it was.
I cost you guys hundreds of dollars on oddly colored socks that I would match with my fits, and okay. Super side note, but that's funny. But there has always just kind of been an impulse, and I think this is true with any creative. Just like you talked about the frustrations of not breaking through with money or exposure or whatever. You just have this like burn inside of you. This is what I know I'm meant to do. I need to express myself through this medium. And for me, early, that was socks and stuff. It was taking videos in the driveway of me playing basketball and editing them, like basically baking them in the oven, it looked like. But just that need and that desire to express yourself in a way that you, going back to my second point, that you are skilled at or can learn the skill of, is something that I've always just kind of felt like a subconscious like pull to do. I need to wear these shorts or take these photos. When I do not have a camera in my hand and I am looking at something that I'm like, this would be a great photo. It's like an itch where I'm like, I wish I had. And obviously, you have your phone all the time, but it's just not the same.
Yeah, it is not the same.
Check out his Instagram to see the differences. No offense, but just that physical need to be able to express what I'm feeling, I feel has helped me in a lot of ways because 6 months ago, whatever, my whole hard drive thing, that was the first time I felt like I lost it. And I felt lost kind of as a person. I didn't know really what I was doing or where I was going or anything like that, because the culmination of the summer and all that stuff. It was the first time that I felt like I didn't want to have a camera, and it was weird. Like I just didn't feel like myself, and I didn't feel that need to express myself. And so it obviously came back and you know, those types of things, but that desire is something that I don't think can be permanently removed for me. I just don't feel like I'll ever, even if I like retire or whatever from making money off this, I don't think I'll ever stop creating and taking photos, because it's just this burn inside of me, and I can't think of any other way that I would better express myself and my emotions than through a camera lens.
Which actually, honestly, is a nice little wrap, because we have always stood by, and maybe this is the reason, no matter what the gloom and doom of stuff, that our creative lives, what we produce, our art and all, is actually a reflection of our souls, of who we are. And I have been blogging for over a decade. Like, you know, I've never had anything go viral, but I've had people on and read almost every day. Somebody has read something I've read every day now. I kind of checked for like almost 2 years, at least one person. But I still have to write. I got to write poetry. Like, hurts my fiction goals, but I write poetry. Like I have post-it notes. I have all this. So maybe the number one reason, if you are feeling like I want to be creative, I want to do this, I want to find a way to make money, I want to have my life, it's because it's who you are. Best reason to do anything is because it's a reflection of who you are authentically, and you're going to be frustrated. You're going to hit really rough spots. You're going to have burnout a little bit, or it's just a part of it. But if you don't follow the muse, if you don't follow the fire, the itch, the whatever, and you just keep pushing it down, and you just end up someday going, this was not what I wanted my life to be like.
Right. And I think, if I remember, touched on in our very first episode, it is, in my opinion, more fulfilling to be creative and to express yourself in that way than it is to really do almost anything else. I mean, there are obviously, like, charity, all that good stuff, but being creative and being able to tell a story of the thoughts in your head and put them onto a tangible piece of work is one of the most fulfilling things that you can do, in my opinion. So yeah, that was our season finale. We are 50 episodes in, folks. That feels kind of crazy. I mean, we started this, I was 2 apartments removed. But yeah, this was our season finale of season 5, episode 10 of The Creative Moment. We're on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. You can watch our video on Spotify if you didn't know that. And if you're not commuting or whatever, and you don't have YouTube or whatever, you can watch the video on Spotify along with the audio.
Yeah.
So we're on all those platforms. Hope you guys enjoy. He has a blog. He has Twitter. I have Twitter. I have Instagram. He has a photo Instagram, kind of. But yeah, that's our season finale. We'll be back in a couple weeks with season 6,
episode 1,
and we're grateful to have you guys along. So with that, we'll see you guys in a couple weeks.